Watching them at home, where we've had multiple touchdowns on the south side of Oklahoma City, closer to Moore and Norman. A lot of them have been quick touch and goes. Goolsby, the Cole area, we probably had the largest tornado, but it was also pretty brief overall. And then we've had some near Maud, and then we've got more storms popping up across central Oklahoma. The big question is, will these storms be able to move east, and will they impact us along the state line with Arkansas and then also deeper into Arkansas? And if they are able to make their journey east, what would be the timing? We want to give you a couple updates on what the atmosphere is looking like. Not necessarily show you some future casts, but show you some latest data that we're tracking in the atmosphere. We're getting our live streams ready for this quick update. We just want to give you, as folks are trying to get some sleep overnight tonight, what time can you expect the lightning and thunder? How strong will these storms be? Will they still have tornado warnings on them? Those are a couple questions that we want to help answer for you guys tonight. So we're getting a couple things ready. All right, we're good to go. So when you're looking at a map, a couple different things. First off, we have a warm front lifting on through. That's helping to spark some of this severe weather. This warm front's going to give us a huge push of both warmth and humidity as we go into Mother's Day weekend. In fact, Mother's Day will probably be the most humid day, as we have had the stretch of muggy weather for a while. The red box, kind of a little bit transparent. These are the tornado watches that we have in effect, all the way from Oklahoma City south to north of Denton, Texas. Anywhere in this area will have the best chance for rotating supercell thunderstorms. However, as storms start to leave this area, the tornado threat will start to go down, but the wind threat may start to go up as some of these storms try to collapse over time. But as this warm front moves north and east, it's also trying to carry these storms north and east. Let's take a closer look at some of these cells. It looks like we have 2 tornado warnings right now. We had a quick touchdown just near Maud. This storm is starting to weaken a little bit as it moves north and east. Notice how its kind of rain shadow is starting to get smaller and smaller over time. We're also noticing a huge downtrend in the lightning on this storm. Back off towards the west, we are also noticing a decrease in the lightning too. This storm is finally starting to fizzle out. We've had several storms on the southeast side of Oklahoma City, and so we've used a lot of energy up. Storms off towards the north and east, these have really not had a lot of rotation with them. Most storms north of Oklahoma City haven't done much, but we're watching towards Tulsa. They're watching these storms too. We have a decent amount of lightning on this storm. It's kind of upticked just a little bit in the past 5 or 10 minutes. We'll watch that. But we're really keeping our eyes on these storms towards the south. Why? Well, when you project these north and east, a lot of these cells that you see south and east of Oklahoma City, you move them northeast, they barely even clip Arkansas. It'd be these storms that try to come in and impact 5 country. Right now, this storm that's west of Lake Eufaula, lightning has upticked big time. You can see all the little lightning strikes in the past scan. This storm is actively strengthening. It went from multi-cells to combining into one storm, and rotation may start to increase over time too. The National Weather Service just a while ago, it's hard to tell with the yellow, but they extended that tornado watch where you see the red color here on the map west of McAllister. So what's going to happen as storms move north and east? That's the question. Well, we were taking a look at the atmosphere, and the energy, the fuel for these storms is really highlighted here towards the south, kind of along I-40 and south of I-40. So these storms that you see west of McAllister could potentially be still pretty strong as they start to approach parts of Haskell and Latimer counties. Once we get to LaFleur County, we start to shut things down a little bit. We're also noticing a couple more cells trying to pop up in some of the Washitas, just a couple little showers. They're not strengthening too much at this time. But the reason why things have been stronger in Oklahoma rather than Arkansas has been the wind. Not necessarily the surface winds that we feel, but the winds higher up in the atmosphere. They're at a pretty good angle and at a pretty good speed over Oklahoma City. But once you get to Arkansas, they're a lot weaker. They're not as conducive to help produce these long-lived supercell thunderstorms like we've had back towards OKC. So that's one good thing for us. Plus, when we're taking a look at some of the surface winds, the winds that we feel on the ground, and I'll show you a map here in just a moment, they're actually slowly weakening right now. And so that's a good thing. You need winds to be moving at all different parts of the atmosphere in order to help sustain the updrafts on these storms so they still stay potentially strong. But we're noticing some weakening as you get in and around the river valley, and even weaker as you get into northwest Arkansas. So essentially what we're trying to tell you is that these storms will weaken as they move towards the north and east. But I think there's about a 60% chance for us to get some leftover storms, but maybe only a 10 or 20% chance that they would still be severe. And they're moving really slow. I want to show you a couple of these storms, and then we'll show you the tracks. The tornado warned storm that you see over Maud, that's probably just going to be left to expire. This one still has some rotation on it there towards Tribby. And then we're going to keep our eyes towards this storm. It's still kind of not completely organized yet. We've seen a lot of cells pop up, and now they're trying to merge. There's not really one portion of the storm that's really rotating at this time, but we just have general wind and a lot of lightning there just east of Ada. And this is going to continue to move north and east. But notice how a lot of these are not necessarily so much easterly, but more northerly. So maybe more north-northeast rather than northeast. And when that happens, it's going to delay our timing, because if the storms are going north, it takes them a while to actually move east. For every 10 miles they move north, they only move 2 miles east. So it takes a while in order to get them to Arkansas. So I want to show you the timing here. I'm going to step off the camera, give you the latest. They're moving about 25 miles per hour. But with that northeasterly tilt, that northeasterly tilt, here's what we're thinking. Next several hours are pretty quiet. But this is kind of generous in allowing the storms to even move as far east. But we think the earliest that they would get into Fort Smith would be, there you see the timing, 2:56, so maybe around 3 o'clock tonight. So we still have a ways to go. I mean, we're 4 hours away from that, give or take. And then close to 4 o'clock in Fayetteville. So we're over 4 hours before they probably reach northwest Arkansas. And that's a lot of time for them to weaken. So it's going to be a while before they get here. We just wanted to give you this update because most of these storms are actually really tracking more north rather than they are necessarily east. And so we'll watch these storms. Notice the one that's near Seminole and Maud, how it continues to weaken on its northeasterly trend. Notice some of the, I'll take this off. Look at Lamar. You see Lamar and Hannah, Stewart. Notice how these cells are also weakening over time. And so that's some good news for us too. So we're looking at some of these cells. They continue to weaken on their northeasterly track. Now, will every single one weaken like these? Not necessarily, but they are moving into an atmosphere that would be a bit tougher for them to survive in. I want to show you what the temperature map looks like, and then we'll take a look at those winds too. Across 5 country, we're still in the 70s. When you talk about warmth and humidity, we've got those ingredients. A lot of times in the early spring, we're trying to get enough warmth. It's a question of, will we get warm enough? Will we get humid enough? That's not a question tonight. It's very soupy outside across Arkansas and Oklahoma. But one thing we can tell you, the wind is really calming down. You want winds to continue to move at all different levels, but even when we look here at the ground, we've gone calm in Poteau. That's great news. So once these storms get into a very weak environment, they'll probably start to fall apart. But it's kind of like trying to stop a train. You can't stop a train immediately. It takes some time. So we'll watch as these storms move east. But because of these limiting factors that we don't have the quite greatest wind field over us and to support these thunderstorms. That's why we go down to level 1 across the River Valley and in northwest Arkansas. But the really big update has been the timing. We originally thought it'd be closer to midnight or so, but these things are just taking a long time. I still think a lot of the data is too fast. We've just seen everything be a little bit too fast. But 2 a.m., maybe getting closer to the state line, probably coming and approaching Sequoyah County and LaFleur County. 3, 4 o'clock, we finally start to cross the state line, but everything will be a lot more scattered and kind of jumbled up. There could still be potentially some strong winds at times with some of these cells. But then I think as you go throughout the rest of the morning, just a spotty shower every once in a while could be possible, and that may last on and off throughout through Friday as well. So when we're taking a look at these rain chances, they'll start to uptick closer to midnight and after midnight for us. But then I think in the middle of the day, can't completely get rid of a chance tomorrow, but we'll still have a couple pop-ups every once in a while. So we're going to keep that 20% chance. Technically a 10% chance, and then maybe a small uptick later in the evening too. Very warm and humid tomorrow. Temperatures getting well into the 80s. There could be some of us that even try to approach 90 degrees later in the day, and we keep the humidity in place. But that warm front that's sparking the storms is allowing the humidity to skyrocket into the weekend. In fact, look at Sunday, Mother's Day. Probably is going to be the most humid day in this forecast. Monday, we still have the humidity in the morning, but throughout the day, we'll slowly start to suppress it as a cold front moves in. But we're still going to be watching these storms for you tonight. This one is really exploding right now. Look at that lightning. Wow, that's a big, you can see this lightning from space too. It's just lighting up across Sooner Country right now. This storm is weakened. This storm is weakened. These storms are trying to hold themselves as best they can, but they're not upticking too much. It's really in this area that's south of I-40 and going up almost to the state line where we still have a lot of heat and humidity left. We don't have as great winds farther east. They're still decent back off west, and that's why this storm is strengthening. We'll just see how these translate as they try to move north and east over time, but it still probably is going to be a while before we get too much around here. So overnight, let's try and wake up tomorrow morning. Watch out for some scattered storms. If anything goes severe, gets real nasty or tornadic, which that chance is low, but severe with winds, that's definitely a chance we'll have to talk about. Maybe a 20% chance. Not everyone. Watch that overnight. Maybe a few more storms on and off tomorrow. We'll still have a lot of dry periods tomorrow, I think. And then just isolated storms every once in a while throughout the weekend. That cold front, that much awaited cold front hits us by Monday and a Tuesday, dropping temperatures. Now, it doesn't necessarily get cool, but without the humidity, it's going to feel a lot better. I tell you what, 81 degrees without humidity, much better than especially 88 with loads of humidity. We'll continue to watch the storms overnight. Tonight, we'll give you updates as they start getting closer to the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. You guys take care. Make sure you keep it here, keep it local. As always, we'll keep you advised.